going?
Yep.
We need to, one of these days, if we upgrade on this, we had to set it up, okay? Then we need to make this dramatic entrance, like from the side to the music of wrestling from when I was a kid, where it's like dun 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 dun, and then we come in.
Okay.
That'd be the grandest entrance ever. Is anybody watching?
I didn't see anybody.
Okay, well, we'll get going anyway. I'm sure somebody will pop on there. This is Keeton's in the Kitchen. We are back. I noticed last week when I uploaded that video, it seemed like we weren't talking quite as loud. So I'm going to talk a little extra loud tonight.
Awesome.
It did sound like the volume wasn't as good on. Maybe it's just me and I don't hear as good anymore. We are back. We had a week off, a hiatus, if you will, a sojourn. We recharged our batteries. We're back. We're cock-locked and ready to rock. Tonight is going to be a fantastic meal. In no time at all. You are going to not believe how quick this is going to come together. It's good because long day at work, come home, back's a little creaky, tired, all that. But this is a good episode to show that you still need to feed the family. You still need to feed the kids. You still need to feed people.
Unfortunately.
Right. That's exactly right. And every night, you don't come home feeling like $1 million. And you didn't have a super easy day at work, and everything didn't go your way. And so it's going to be a great episode to show you that in a little bit of time, even when you're tired and whatever, you can come home, you can get a great meal on the table in half hour or less. It's 6:01 right now. We're going to see if this makes a liar out of me. We are going to start. Also, you'll notice we're in shorts today, so that's good. That's an upgrade. A summertime upgrade to the show. We are going to start with the chicken chilaquiles.
So, first question off the bat, coming from Alon Brooks.
Alon
What is
Brooks.
that?
What is what?
What is chicken?
Chilaquiles. You have a lot of trouble saying chilaquiles. It's a chicken dish with a real simple sauce. The great thing about this dish is, and I learned this dish a long time ago in a cooking class that I was doing. A dear friend of mine, she came and helped us out, and she showed this recipe. She has a store in Carrollton. If you're ever in Carrollton, stop by the Ranch Market. It's next to Walgreens. Maria's great. Her food's fantastic.
Yes.
She has some of the best tamales in the world that you will ever eat. Literally, she did this with me in a cooking class and showed us this. It's so simple. It's absolutely full of flavor, and you only dirty up one pot on this particular part because everything goes into it. So this is a cheesy, you can make it spicy chicken dish. You're not going to believe how easy this is, and it's so good. So Sarah's going to start with the chicken. We just have 2 chicken breasts. These breasts anymore are way too big.
Yes.
You notice how big these are. I don't want to touch the chicken and then touch something else, but just hold one of those up. These things are so big. That's half of one. Used to be when I was a kid, granted that was 2 centuries ago, chicken breasts were about half this size, and they cooked easily and they cooked quickly. Now they're gigantic. They're like having turkey breasts. So if you want these to cook, you got to cut them into smaller pieces. If you want them to cook right. You can throw them in there. They're going to eventually cook. What am I talking about? But if you want them to cook quickly and you want this recipe to go along like it should.
You want to cut them this way?
No, I wouldn't. I would just leave them as is. So what do you have over here?
I have a little bit of water that we did start ahead, and it is boiling. So, a little cheat there. We're just going to drop it in, just into the boiling water.
Nothing else, just boiling water. We can test that right now. It'd be 96% pure. That's because it's Kentucky, so that's probably all it's ever going to be. It turns your thing down. I didn't think about you putting that quarter chicken in there. Okay, so you're going to get your chicken going, and it's just chicken and water. We're literally just boiling.
Poaching some chicken.
Poaching some chicken. So, Sarah's got that. She's going to get those. Those are going to get finished really super quickly. And then we'll move on to the second part of that. I am going to go ahead and get this rice started because I want to show you this, and this is going to take a little time. So, what I've got is I've got 2 cups of water and I've got 2 cups of water right now. That's all I have. So in this pot, I did not start boiling. I probably should have. 2 cups of water. There are about 5,000 Mexican rice recipes. You can look online and you can dig these things up until you were sick of digging them up. This is one that I've probably made 100 times in the past. And this is sort of the culmination of me saying this was the best, this was the best, this was the best, this was the best. So what I've got here is a couple of carrots. Now I've got my water on boiling, so if you're at home and you're cooking along with us, go ahead and start your water. The key to these carrots is, now a lot of times, Sarah and I especially, when we're using carrots, we just get a whole carrot. And we get the big ones, and it's just about as easy to do it that way as it is to use these smaller ones that cost way more and are a lot harder to cut up. But for this recipe, I like these small carrots because they're a whole lot easier to get into really small pieces. And here's the thing about this. These are not going to get super, super soft. So if you're using a regular cucumber, which is fine, make sure you spend a little extra time and cut this thing up. I'm talking pieces like this. Because at the end, really actually that was 2 pieces, so like that. At the end, we don't want our rice being a bunch of crunchy carrots while we're eating it. So I'm just going to take my time, chop these up real fine. And this is just, really this is probably going to end up being somewhere around 1/4 cup. Not many at all. So I've got this, and I'm going to, again, so basically all you do is slice your carrots in half, flip them over 90 degrees. It's not easy to do with these tiny little carrots, by the way. Especially when you cut them in half and the halves don't fit back together again. I don't have any idea how that happened. And then, so you've got 4 pieces of that. Then just take your time and cut these into small little cubes. That way, just in the 20 minutes or so that this rice is going to take to boil or to cook, your carrots are pretty well getting done. They add a nice color to this. Not much flavor, but a nice color. So I'll pour those in. Then I've got, somewhere here, I've got a can of tomatoes and green chilies. If you don't like this as spicy, just use a small can of tomatoes. If you want it a little spicier, they have them with jalapeños. So get the green chilies, or the jalapeños and the tomatoes. I'm going to pour that in. Whole can, just one of these tiny cans. I have a can of corn. Did you drain this?
No, actually
Okay.
I didn't.
I mostly want to drain this. It's not going to matter because your rice is going to absorb just about all the liquid you put in there, no matter what. So I've got, again, 2 cups of water, just those little bit of carrots that I cut up, this can of corn. So I'm going to throw that in there. I've got my rice, 1 cup, 2 to 1, just like Sarah and I always do. I'm going to go ahead and add my rice in there. Then I've got some cumin. I don't think I said anything about that, but I did say anything about the bouillon cube. When you're using cumin, cumin's one of these spices that will absolutely just take over and dominate if you use too much of this. A funny story, a couple weeks ago I was making Mexican rice or black beans or something.
There's
no little sifter lid on this. It's just open. Ooh. So this jar went from being full to 1/4 of the jar in one dish. Needless to say, you really had to like cumin in that recipe.
So the reason for that is that Shawn shakes his spices.
Half teaspoon.
I always put my spices in the palm of my hand, give them a little rub, and then put them in the dish. So I don't want that shaker on there. I want to be able to go directly into my palm, rub it, release the flavors, and let it fly. Shawn's a shaker.
I went directly into having way too much cumin. Is what I went directly into.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, I suppose.
Then I have a bouillon cube.
Yeah.
That is a chicken bouillon cube that I just broke up.
Oh, okay. You already put it in
I just
there.
smashed it up and I put it in there. I'm going to stir all this up. I know this is going to need a little salt and pepper, but here's the thing, folks. If you are cooking at home, trying to guess how much salt rice is going to need is a losing battle. At this stage, you will never get this right. Now, don't ask me why, but it just never comes out right. I have a little bit of hot sauce because I like a little hot sauce in mine. This is a chipotle hot sauce. If you have a regular hot sauce, that's fine. If you don't use hot sauce, that's fine too. I'm going to hit this with a little bit of salt just to go through the motions. There's no other reason than going through the motions because it's not going to be right. I'm going to have to readjust that right before I eat it. I'll give it a little dash of pepper. I give this a little stir. I got the heat on high.
I'm gonna bring this over there just so they can kind of get an idea of
See
that and what the chicken's
right.
looking like
so
too.
In here, can you see down in there? Got the corn, the carrots, the tomatoes with the green chilies, a bouillon cube, a little bit of cumin, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I put a dash of hot sauce in. Don't worry about that hot sauce if you don't want to, if you don't like it. Now I'll pull this for you. Okay, you got it.
Well, we're just gonna take a look at what this chicken's looking like.
Yep, just boiling chicken. Now, I'm going to venture to guess that's probably getting pretty close to being done. Because chicken, when it boils, it's still a little soft, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little soft.
When chicken boils, it boils quick. And you don't have to really worry so much about overcooking that because you're boiling. You're not going to have a whole lot of trouble with that. So, we've got that going on. I wonder what this belonged to.
That was the tomato.
Oh. That's not what the heck that was. Okay, so now we're going to do our refried black beans here in just a minute. What I'm going to do is, now in some black beans, in no black beans do you find onions because black beans are just black beans. But in some recipes of refried beans, you don't find onions. I like a little. This is not going to be a ton of onions. It's going to be just enough, really. Take that core out of there. This, again, is a whole lot like what I just did. This onion's kind of seen better days, really. Let me just take off the big portion of it. Kind of like what we did with the carrots just a minute ago. Will you wash that off for me? Got a little bit of mold on it. We don't waste anything here. So we're just going to wash that mold off, and then I'll cut off that bad piece of it. Just like I did with the carrot just a minute ago. See that bad section on that onion right there? Just where it's kind of been sitting there for a little while, just cut that off. But just like I did with that carrot just a minute ago for the rice, I don't want to make refried beans and have onions taking up my refried beans. Or taking over, I should say. So, I'm going to really, really, really thinly slice these onions. You get to this end here, when you're slicing an onion and you cut it in halves, slice, slice, slice. When you get over close to the other end and it's laying like that, rotate that end over. That way, it makes it really easy to continue this thin slicing and you're not trying to balance it in your hands. Is that already done?
I just took the small pieces out. It's getting close.
Okay. So I'm going to really chop this onion super fine because again I like the flavor in there, maybe a tiny bit of the texture, but I don't want this to be refried onions. It's going to be refried beans. So that's about a half of a small onion, 3/4 if you like onion a whole lot, put a whole onion in there. Spend a little more time with this, making sure that this is finely chopped. Because if it doesn't, you're going to be sitting here cooking this and cooking it and cooking it and cooking it. So you've got a couple of your pieces of chicken out of there. It just goes to show right there how quick that chicken's cooking. That chicken is really coming along quick. That's only been in there 5 minutes maybe. So I've got my onions. I'll push them over here to one side. They're really finely chopped. I have a garlic clove here. Probably won't use this whole thing because it's a big garlic clove, but again, same thing. I just want to really, really, you know what, heck with it. It's a Wednesday. Let's just use the whole thing. That's the core of it. Let's just go ahead and finely chop. And chopping doesn't have to be this fancy, hold it with your this and you're going fast. Sometimes you can just lay it down there and just chop it. If you want it fine, just chop it. You know, cooking for a lot of people becomes a chore because they kind of make the mundane tasks a chore. So hold that blade with both hands if you want. This is a place that it really pays to have a kitchen style knife where the handle sits above the blade so that you can really get that down there flat. Unlike a knife, like a standard paring type knife where the blade is in line with the handle and you can't get your hands down there. So, I've got my garlic chopped up.
I'm gonna pull the rest of this chicken.
All the chicken's already done in however much time that was. Not much at all. I'm gonna look at my rice real quick. Once this rice starts boiling, if you watch, ow, 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 ah, that's hot.
There's a pothole right here.
Like Sarah and I do in our other videos and stuff, if you're cooking rice, once your rice gets boiling, go ahead and vent your lid a little. Crack that lid open just a little bit, and then that makes it where that rice goes ahead and cooks pretty fast. Now we also, each show, we always have a little gadget. Today, I went down into the basement to make it so everything wasn't going on the stove. And I dug out one of the oldest gadgets ever, which is the Precision New Wave 2. I don't even know what these things are called. I haven't used this thing in forever. It's a little burner thing, but it only works on pans that have the magnetic bottom on it. Pretty cool. I pulled this out so I can do the black beans. I haven't seen that stupid thing in forever. I didn't know how to use it.
We had to like clean it because it was.
Oh yeah, it's still kind of nasty looking. But anyway,
it seems to be working though.
I'm going to use this. You go ahead with your thing.
Okay, so we're going to start on the sauce for the chicken.
Chilaquiles.
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 I can't pronounce it. I'm going to start with an onion. And none of this needs to be really chopped finely at all. I'm just going to kind of quarter this guy. So we've got the onion.
You know you have a good marriage when your husband picks up your onion peels and throws them away for you. That's the sign that you've made it as a couple.
Uh-huh. You made a good choice, honey. All right, so onions going into the water, same water as the chicken.
It's just water.
Tomatoes, whole, going into the water. 3 jalapeños. We've got some fancy ones this evening.
Yeah, we couldn't find a poblano, so we got fancy peppers.
Which I actually prefer this with poblano, but it'll be a little spicier tonight. Going into the water. And we've got 2 ancho peppers. If you don't have any, okay. If you only have one, that's fine as well.
Those are the dried ones. We put in the description in there. If you don't have them, don't go buy a bag of them. But they are nice and stuff like this.
They give the sauce a depth.
Yeah, add a little bit of smokiness to the sauce and stuff. I do have to show here. So you're just going to
put the lid on, and we're going to start to simmer this. You're just looking for it to get soft, like where your tomatoes, the skins are starting to break and peel back. Sangria. So we went to this really good restaurant in Sedona. You didn't get the sangria, but I did. And I had not had sangria in I don't know how long. And it put me on a little kick there.
So
I came home and made some.
we always tend to give a little more. That's the way our show works. We always give you a little bit more. And right now, without me even telling her we were going to do this, hold on, let me have a sip of this sangria.
It's good.
That's actually really tasty.
Mm-hmm.
We always, like I said, we always have a little bit more for everybody. Why don't you tell them what's in your sangria? This will be bonus recipe on Mexican chicken chilaquile night.
All right, so I took a bottle of Shiraz, right? And then I took a cup of brandy. And then I took a full tube of the orange juice concentrate. And then a half tube of limeade concentrate. I cut up oranges, strawberries, apples, put it all into the pitcher, and then I've let it sit, and each day it's getting better and better, and that's the way it is with sangria, as the fruits model and everything. But then when you would take it out, I put fresh fruit in the cup, I put ice cubes in the cup, I put sangria about 2/3 of the way up the glass, and then I top it off with seltzer. And it's delicious.
Now, sometimes when you're cooking rice, you end up with not quite enough water in it. I can tell you this doesn't have enough water in it just by looking at it. Usually it's 2 and 2. This one, for some reason, maybe had a little too much rice, or 2 and 1, I'm sorry. That one didn't have enough water in it. So if you see that happening, add a little bit more water to it. No biggie.
I'm gonna go ahead and slice this avocado. This is gonna just be for garnishment later.
Okay. Now, I'm going to start, if I can remember how to do this thing.
The pit's not big enough, babe.
Oh, we got one with the pit that's so small. Now that's good. I'll show them another little trick here. If you ever have an avocado and you don't have this peeler, the trick I always used in the past was when you're holding this avocado in your hand and you got your knife blade, if you just poke your knife blade into the side of this seed, just like so, anywhere in the side of it, and if you will put this against your thumb, not with the sharp side, of course, with the flat side of this knife, it pops right out. You use your thumb as a lever to pry that seed out of there.
See, I made a good choice too.
I know, not many people pop the seed out of your avocado for you. That's for sure.
Oh, goodness.
So I got my little pan thingy here going. To make really good refried beans is so easy. But it starts with one common ingredient that everybody should have around, and that's bacon grease. I like a teaspoon and a half to a tablespoon. I'm going to drain. There's not much in those black beans, so I'm not going to drain. You hand me a spoon.
Yep.
So what I have is some bacon grease. I'm going to start by putting about, you may want to use a teaspoon. I'm going to use a tablespoon because these refried beans are going to be good. That's a tablespoon of bacon grease. Everybody can already sense a trip to the hospital for their heart. I'm going to put my bacon grease. Always keep your jar of bacon grease in your refrigerator. Keep this in the door. It's always in the same spot. Well, it usually is if there's something in the way. So anyway, keep that bacon grease. Use it. I mean, there's so many great uses for bacon grease. Okay, so I got my bacon grease in there. I got my onions and my garlic that I did up just a minute ago. I'm going to drop those in. Now, we talk about our gadgets sometimes. This is that new wave thingy. I don't even know what this thing's called. The great thing about these, I don't know if there's a big use to have one of these burner things, but the really nice thing about them is that they heat up super fast. So if you do think about buying one and you have a induction ready skillet, it's not a bad idea simply because if you tie up your stove and you're doing something, family's coming over, holidays, whatever, it frees you up to move away from your stove. And it really heats up quick. I've got this on 425, which is high. So, you check my rice.
Yep. Whoa. Getting fancy.
God, I flung stuff every. Ow, 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 ow. God, everything I touched tonight is super hot. Okay, so our rice is coming along good. You may want to hit that with a little paprika too, just to give it some color. If you think, oh, my rice doesn't look the right color, hit it with a little paprika. It'll be red as all get out. So, cook these onions and this garlic now. Now, that's the one thing about that I haven't used that thing in years. When you take your skillet off, it stops. So, I shook that around a little bit. I've got my black beans. There is a little bit of liquid on here. If there's a lot of liquid on whatever brand you bought, go ahead and drain some of that off because you've already got your bacon grease in your skillet. So you don't need it. You don't need a lot of liquid in there. Pour those in. 2 cans. This one has a little liquid. It's going to be fine. It'll cook out. Pour that into there. I need a little salt. It's going to be a half a teaspoon. Yeah, a little bit more, 3/4 teaspoon. I need a little pepper. Give this a good little shake of pepper. And then I need some cumin. Again, watch your cumin, especially if your wife rubs it in her palm. And you think it has one of those little sifter lids on it and it doesn't. That's going to be a half a teaspoon or so. Not a whole lot to that, really. Now, all I'm doing right now is heating up these black beans and cooking off the liquid. I haven't started mashing them or any of that yet. Haven't sort of refrying them. Your chicken's probably cool enough now to pull. So I'm just heating these beans up and I'm cooking off some of this liquid. Oh yeah. Sarah's got her chicken all cooked up.
Go ahead and throw these in.
She's got her garlic cloves.
And we're throwing the garlic in at the end because you can really honestly cook garlic to the point that it has no flavor anymore.
Easy to cook out.
Yeah, easy to cook all the flavor out of your garlic, so.
What are you doing there?
I'm pulling some chicken.
Okay. 2 forks, pulling that cooked chicken apart. You can pull this into however big or small a size you want. You like it really fine, sit there and pull it. If you like it chunks, pull it or take a knife and cut it into cubes. You are the master of your Chilaquile destiny. Now, I need...
Oh, they're cooking good on there, honey.
Pardon?
Your beans.
Oh, yeah. You turn... Is the rice done?
No.
Okay. So I've got the old school potato masher. What I probably should do is test this. Before I mash it up, it's a little bit difficult at times to add seasoning to these things, especially the beans once they get done up. Because they sort of turn into more of a paste. It's hard to get, if you go dumping salt and pepper on this, once you've refried them, I guess that's the word, and they're more of a paste, you can't get the salt incorporated throughout. So you want to add it right now if it needs it. Needs a little. Not bad, but needs a little. I'm turning your sauce stuff off because your tomatoes are getting soft.
Okay.
So I'm going to add maybe another half teaspoon. The flavor on them is really good. They just need a little more salt. So as you can see, I did double dip that spoon. So my beans are coming along. You can see they're still pretty soupy, which is fine. I'll just cook them here for another minute or two.
I wonder if they can see that, honey.
Pardon? So they're still a little bit soupy. I don't want to start mashing them just yet because you can see this. They still got a little bit of liquid. It's basically just concentrating those flavors with the onion and the garlic and stuff in it, so it doesn't bother me if they have a little bit in them. If you have a little chipotle powder, which is another good spice that's not the most common thing, but it's good to have on hand, you can toss it in there for a little bit of flavor. I think we have, yep, we do have some. So I'm going to hit this with just a little of that. I don't want it to be hot.
And I would just like to take a moment and say the fact that we have found all these spices that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got 11,000 spices and we usually need them all at the same time.
Baby? Baby? Baby?
Yeah, honey, where's this?
Honey? Baby?
Where's the, I know we have chipotle powder. Where would it be? Okay.
Oh, are you taking over?
Well, I'm just going to do this one for you because you were
Okay.
talking.
All right, so the rest of our vegetables in this sauce have cooked to the point that they're soft. The tomato, the skin is peeling off. I don't know if anyone can see that or not.
Let me bring it over.
Yeah.
My beans will be fine. Let me bring this over and show. Whew, about to make a liar out of me because I said a half hour, but I said that early on.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take the skins off these tomatoes because honestly, they just don't puree well, and that's where this is going. It's all going into a food processor or a blender.
And they come off so easy at that stage.
Yeah, so you can kind of see where they're just coming right off here.
So all you did was boil that stuff together.
Yes.
The peppers, the onion, the garlic, the tomatoes, and then a couple of dried peppers. And again, if you don't have the dried peppers, don't worry.
All right. So that's done.
Okay, so you peeled your tomatoes.
And then what I want to do is I want to take the tops or the stems
You'll have to just set it over there and slice it while you're holding it with that.
Okay.
There's her pulled chicken. Take the top off that pepper. You're not going to get that stem to grind up, so don't try.
So basically you're just getting rid of anything that's not going to puree up nicely and like nice and smooth into your sauce. And we're leaving the seeds in there, which I might regret, but Shawn won't.
I'm not going to regret it.
Ooh,
That's a beautiful pepper, by the
oh,
way.
yeah. All right. You want to take the tops off these?
Nah,
red
I
ones?
wouldn't. Yeah, if you can, just cut them right off. That's the dried peppers. Usually those, once they've dried out, those tops get fairly soft. But if you can cut them.
Lost that one.
Ooh. I'm just looking at your shorts
Oh yeah, stop it.
when I'm moving this camera around. Every time I turn around, the camera's just focused on your shorts.
Oh.
All right.
All right.
So I'm going to set this back over here because I have to mash up some beans here. And then I'm going to show your sauce in just a second.
Okay, I will shred some chicken then.
All right, so my beans have cooked down. Now where they're starting to get pasty. So now what I want to do with this potato masher is start smashing these up. That's hot.
Yeah, that's like no joke.
This little burner thing is the ticket. We don't ever use it hardly, but for something like this, whew, you can't even see what I'm doing. There's so much steam coming off of this. Take your time, go around these beans and mash them up. Now, well, it's up to you. If you want them all mashed like they came out of a jar or a can, then keep mashing until you've got them all mashed up. I'm going to turn this off. How do I turn this thing off?
I would not know.
I don't either. So, I like a few kind of whole ones in there to break up the texture of it a little bit. If you want to just keep going and going and going and going, you can keep going and going and going and going. Nobody's going to say anything to you. And if they do, just tell them you talked to me. Tell them you heard it from me. I've got broad shoulders.
Yeah.
I'll take their criticism.
I'm working this into the pot holder.
Okay, so now I'm going to bring the camera over and show everybody the texture that I now have on these refried beans. And you'll see I can sort of incorporate any moisture that was left over. I'm actually filming and stirring at the same time.
Pretty talented.
Yeah, I'd say so. So Sarah's got our queso. I saw her just put that in there. You see this texture? This is perfect. Now, let's go over here and watch what she's going to do right here.
So I got the queso in the microwave.
The beans are done now, by the way. Queso's in the microwave. This is the food processor, of course.
Or you can use a blender, or you can use it as Food Ninja, like one of those Ninja.
Yep.
I got one of those too. I've kind of gotten to where I use that more than a food processor.
It really does a good job of blending stuff up.
Because, well, and also the Ninja just sits on our counter all the time because we use smoothies a lot. So it's just one less thing to get out.
Okay, tomatoes, peppers, onions. There should be some garlic in there somewhere.
Yeah,
There's a garlic clove.
There's a garlic.
Okay. You don't have to put everything in there if you think you're going to have a lot, but you've already cooked it, so use what you can. Doesn't make any sense to chuck it at this
Take
point.
half a minute to get it all.
I got you that fancy little strainer out down there, and you didn't even use it.
I forgot all about it, honey.
Oh my gosh.
This would be a good time to use it.
Look at
the.
look at that. Now, don't dump this liquid just yet.
No.
Really what you've got is some fantastically chicken and vegetable flavored broth
Yes.
that you could use in the future. So here's a little tip.
Okay.
Don't dump it ever.
Don't dump it out. We're going to use it. Now I'm going to go back to the cumin over here. And this is me dumping in my palm.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I always rub my spices. It releases the flavor, but that's just me.
I dump them.
And I tell you what,
I release the flavor by dumping it.
What do you say? That's like about
Half teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon. Cumin, a half a teaspoon's a lot.
Yeah.
So don't get cumin crazy until you've tried it. What you looking for, sweetie?
Pepper.
Up there in the cabinet. Okay, so you got your little... Wow, she gonna rub the pepper. Whoa.
I got a little too much going
A little
there.
crazy right there. Did you get out the chips?
Nope, I never did.
Okay, well, as soon as you get done with this, I'll get them and then I'll start assembling. We turn off that rice. I'm sure that's done. Thank you.
We may have burnt rice.
Yeah, we may have cooked that rice way too long.
Let's see. Let me stir.
Let me just bring this over here. We'll see.
No, I mean it's starting to stick to the bottom, but
It's
it's okay.
stuck a little bit, but it's all
stuck
good.
A little bit, but we're all right. We're
It's all good. So there's our Mexican rice, our Spanish rice.
That looks good.
Okay.
Turn the heat off, put the lid back on. It'll help loosen that bottom.
Okay.
All right, so here we go.
Gonna get loud.
It's gonna get loud, folks, but you just want to kind of
Start by pulsing.
start by pulsing.
Bring it down there where they can see that. Now here's the thing. If you want to break all these peppers up, you're gonna have to do this for a while. Because especially those dried ones tend to just break off into flakes. Okay.
Looking gorgeous.
Looks absolutely gorgeous. That may need a little.
A little bit of broth, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's about right the way
Yep,
it is.
I do too. So this is why you kept your broth, not only for this, but just to have delicious broth. You kept this to add a little of that in there. That's 2 or 3 teaspoons, maybe a couple of tablespoons, not much. Yeah, just do the texture that you like, the consistency that you like. Okay, you need a spoon. Here you go. This is the ultimate test. What?
It's spicy.
Is that delish?
It's good, but it's really spicy.
Like how spicy?
Woo! That's spicy, folks.
Yeah, that's really tasty.
It's delicious. It's just spicier than I would like it, but
Couldn't find poblanos.
I'm gonna put a little more salt in there. Needs a little bit more.
Now, when you're doing this dish as well, buy the cheapest tortilla chips you can find, because this dish, it doesn't matter. You're going to cover them up here anyway. So I'm going to show you how we're going to put this together. So what you do is you get your plate. I'm probably off camera, but
Yep. Hold on.
get your plate. Make you a nice little bed of your tortilla chips. This is going to be so good. This is literally one of my favorite all-time meals. I'm going to set those there. You got your queso. You're out of spoons. I see. Here's the spoons. So, we got our tortilla chips. We take our chicken. And we sprinkle some of our chicken over the top. It's actually an extreme, if you leave the cheese off, which, why would you? It makes this a really healthy recipe as well.
Well, you can also serve it over rice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or you could take the same ingredients, because you know how Mexican food is. I mean, you can take the same ingredients and serve it 15 different ways.
Right.
You could also take this and put the chicken inside tortillas, pour the sauce down over top of the tortillas,
That'd be
make
good.
like an enchilada out of it.
Tacos.
You could make tacos out of it.
Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
Well, I wish we had slow-mo where I could dramatically, slowly pour the sauce over. Okay, so you take your sauce that you made in the same water that you made your chicken. Don't cheat yourself on the sauce, even if it's spicy. Live a little. Come on, people, leave a little. Okay. You put that over it. You clean your spoon off a little bit because you're having real trouble finding spoons. your warmed up queso.
They're all in the dishwasher, I bet.
Yeah. You take your warmed up queso. Don't cheat yourself on your queso. Nobody likes getting cheated on queso. Pour your queso over the top.
Oh, Lord.
Don't go light on the queso. No one likes that when you do that. Then if you have a little bit of shredded cheese, adds a nice little look to it. Hit that with a little bit of that over the top. If you like jalapeños, which of course everyone does. Not many in this jar. Looks like I'm the only one having jalapenos.
Mm-hmm.
A few jalapenos. You've got your avocado. Hit that. A little on there. Now we will grab our scooper. And we're going to dress this up here with some refried black beans on the side.
That's definitely your plate, honey. You're making a plate for you.
Come over here and get some fried rice. Fried rice, what am I talking about? Mexican rice. Spanish rice, whatever. It's rice. And then if you have a little sour cream, you can put it over the top. Let me come around there.
Yeah.
I'm going to set this here. Look at that plate. It is absolutely gorgeous.
You got a piece of corn in the middle of your
I know,
beans,
right in the
honey.
middle of my black beans. I wonder how that happened. And now,
That is beautiful.
gorgeous, isn't it? So, we'll give this a little... Honey baby's holding the camera, so she's not in this. Let me try this rice. Ooh.
Hot.
Should have blown it. Try the beans. Refried black beans, seriously, once a week. Make them. Everyone's going to love them. And then last but not least, our chicken chilaquiles. Oh, wow.
They are really good.
Oh, that's incredible. Let me hold the camera while you take a bite.
All right.
Everyone needs to see you taking a bite. Try the rice. It's excellent.
Rice, huh? That's good.
Little beans.
You make the best beans.
Those black beans, refried black beans.
1,000 times. I could eat them 1,000 more.
Refried black beans.
Those are so good.
And last but not least,
This, by the way, is, well, we made it, what, a couple weeks ago before vacation.
right?
And Gabriel said, let's make these once a week.
So even the kids love it. See how she's getting all that on there? You got all the cheese, you got all the toppings, you got the sauce.
Looks really good. And you know, the sauce itself is pretty spicy. But when you kind of dissipate it with everything else that's on there, it's spot on.
So we giving it 2 thumbs up this week? 3, that's 3. Wow, that's even better. So hopefully everyone enjoyed the show. Very simple. We didn't miss it by much. It's 6:42, and we kind of BS'd around a little bit. So you can make this in a half hour. You're tired. You're hot. You've had a long day. Guess what? You still come home. You still have an absolutely delicious. I said delicious. Delicious meal in no time at all. Join us next week, same time, same place, 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Don't know what we're doing yet, but we'll probably talk about it here in just a few. We'll figure out something easy and delicious that you can make after a long day. I know I'm getting the picture of that. That's good